if you guys like this video, please don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and if you guys are interested in a personal session, check out my website, readingswithbreanne.com. Let's dive into the topic for today. Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome back to my channel. Much love and light. I hope you guys are doing phenomenal wherever you are on this journey. I thought I would do a tarot reading for you guys and just look at the general energy of where Canada is headed. I wanted to pull a few specific questions, including the energy of the elections that we just recently had on the 28th. It looks like, according to the media and the polls, the Liberals did win a minority vote. So we're gonna dive in here and see what's the momentum moving forward. I have to say, I have pulled on this multiple times off camera, and I've done some videos on it, and there was a lot of like tough energy with Mark Carney and massive tower moments, massive things coming down. So I'm curious to see if he is going to be somebody that will be up front as the Prime Minister for the whole term. I wanted to ask that and see what was coming out from the tarot. But let's dive right in and look at the energy. We also have Alberta. And it says here, there is an article that went out, and it's the Alberta Premier, Danielle Smith, is defending the promise of a potential referendum on separation. So there's also the Alberta Chiefs that say separation vote will violate some treaties and they plan to go to court. So there's definitely some intense energies happening here in Canada. And from what I've heard, you guys will have to let me know, I think Australia is going through a very similar thing. They just had their election, so maybe we'll have to do a tarot read on Australia soon as well. But let's dive right in. Let's see what the cards and the tarot have to say for today. All right, lovely souls. So I really want to dive into the one question to start with in terms of, were these elections rigged? I have to say, based off the energetics and what I have pulled again and again and again, I have to say yes from a perspective. And again, I am not here because I'm on one big side of the party. You guys, look at the bigger picture. Politics, these governments, they are not here to help us. Do you know what this is? It's division. It divides us. It disconnects us from each other. So when we stop fighting each other, amazing things would really happen when we come together. So I do not vote. I have never voted. I voted once. Sorry, I'm going to correct that. I did vote once back in the day when I was a very young adult. And that was the only time I've ever voted. So I really do want to approach this from a neutral level. I'm not saying I'm approaching this because I'm for this politician or that politician. So again, please use your discernment. This is a perspective from my end, but I absolutely see these elections as being rigged. They usually always are. So that being said, let's see what the tarot has to say. I'm kind of curious, and we'll go through that, and then we'll see what's kind of next. Because again, we have Alberta talking about separating. So let's see, Spirit, let's start with the question. What can you share when it comes to this recent election? And you guys, look at Australia. I think that this is a very similar situation. So it's not just Canada. This is happening. This is a worldwide global issue. So Spirit, what can you share with us about this election that we recently had, April 28th? Can you confirm energetically, of course, this is all just a tarot reading, my friends, what's the energy of this election being rigged? All right, Two of Pentacles, the Devil, Eight of Cups, High Priestess reversed. Yep, you guys, this is winning at all costs. Three of Cups, back of the deck, reversed. I wouldn't be surprised if there was also, this is giving me a big like overseas interference as well. Interesting. So if we look at this a little bit deeper again, Two of Pentacles, This could even represent 2 different timelines as well, because again, I was consistently seeing a different outcome happening here, which is interesting. But when we look at this, this could also show 2 of Pentacles. This is something like there was a distraction, and behind the scenes, this was already something pre-planned here, which is what I'm getting. So High Priestess in reverse is showing secrecy. These are lies. I really get like the media would be, say, pushing one narrative, and a lot of this is again pushing fear, pushing control to separate us, you guys. Okay, this is winning at all costs. The outcome, 5 of Swords, committing crimes, doing anything it takes to win at all costs. And we have that cabal, that deep state in the situation of the question, were these elections rigged? So I have a big yes to this, you guys. But it's almost like the division, you guys, the division is the bigger let's say intention behind this all. That's what it looks like here. It's to separate us. Look at the 3 of Cups in reverse. It's to like pin people against each other. And again, with the 3 of Wands and the 2 Wands, I do think there could have been some other, let's say, overseas influences when it comes to this, who had their hands in the pot here. So from what I can see, my friends, based off of my perspective, I do see this as being manipulated. So with that being said, then how about we look at the energy of Mark Carney. All right, let's see what's going on. You know what? I know this comment is not related to this tarot reading, but I recently seen as well that there was I believe a mayor in Mexico that was arrested just recently in relations to some cartel business or something of that matter. So it's kind of interesting to see, okay, are there going to start to be some arrests and takedowns, right? And I was seeing that with Mark Carney. Like, I feel like there's a big exposure happening. Every time I pulled on his energy, I was getting Tower moment. I mean, I was getting 3 of Swords. It was not an easy energy for Mark. So let's just look at, I had the question of like, what does it look like in terms of Mark Carney holding that title as Prime Minister for a full term? What can you share? Is he going to be holding his full term as a Prime Minister? Let's see what the tarot has to say. Death card. Nope. I don't think so. Look at this. Things behind the scene. Interesting. Back of the deck is still that 8 of Cups, which is walking away. So 6 of Pentacles, I don't know why, but it was like bam, 6. The 6th month, maybe June, something happening with some evidence. Look at this is happening behind the scene already, where I feel like there will be some kind of exposure pertaining to Mark here, and that may potentially lead him to be ushered away here. So let's see if I can get another confirmation, because I don't see him as being around for the full term here. So, I mean, we already see, look at the separation or the protests when we look at Alberta. Look at the WEF. He's very much linked to the WEF, and there's some exposures and stuff happening there. It's almost like, yeah, look at that. Same card, 8 of Pentacles there. So, Spirit, can you confirm, will there be some kind of like end in Mark Carney being the Prime Minister for Canada? Can you share what? Yeah, Hanged Man. Can I get one more card on this? 9 of Cups. Guess what's on the back, you guys? Tower moment again. I consistently get this for Mark. So now, if we look at the Tower moment as well, this could even be the collapse of Canada. Canada moving into a completely different direction here. The North American Union, right? Of course, this is not going to happen overnight, but there's a big shift here. And I mean, look at look at Mark Carney and the energy. Look at his resume. Look at what he really aligns with. Was he not one of the former bankers of what was it, the Bank of Canada in England? And from what I've read before, I believe he was the only person to have led two like G7 central banks or something of that matter. So look at that. Look at his connections to the WEF. Look at the connections to BlackRock. All in all, he is not the mastermind of any of this. He's just a puppeteer and being puppeted from what I can see. But I have to say, it feels like based off of this energy, things are headed into a very different direction. So I wanted to see what the cards had to say about the recent talks about Alberta separating, and let's look into that, because I'm kind of going back to a while ago. I remember seeing Canada, United States, and also Mexico forming as one. I seen them in the crystal ball as one big outline. So let's dive into that a little bit more and see what the cards have to say. Okay, so let's pull the tarot on the question of Alberta separating, all right? What can you share with us, Spirit, when it comes to the energy of Alberta separating? Again, keyword, you guys, separating. It's really unfortunate to see so many people just consistently fighting and fight. Like, why do we have to keep fighting each other? Can't we just hold hands and sing Kumbaya? Oh my gosh, you guys. Like, that's what I mean. It feels like this is just an attempt to divide us, to separate. Keyword, you guys. So what do we have, Spirit, on the momentum when it comes to Alberta separating from Canada? What can you share? The Lovers. This is the institutions. 7 of Pentacles. Page of Swords. Ace of Swords. Yes. What's the outcome? The Emperor, which is also my trump card, representing the U.S. Look at negotiations with the U.S. What do we have on the back? 2 of Cups. Partnerships, alliances here. This actually looks really positive, though. I don't have a lot of, bad negative cards. So when we look at this, it's almost like a soul-led alliances here. So it could absolutely be a sense of like, this is not going to be overnight from what I can see. Pentacles in the situation is building up momentum, and it can also be building up momentum from other provinces to more of a soul-led kind of an alliance, like coming together for sovereignty here. So again, seeing kind of that Ace of Swords, this is breakthroughs, this is calculated moves, and the 7 of Pentacles is a sense of patience. This is strategy, this is more of a long-term plan, and I believe Danielle Smith was talking about, she mentioned a potential referendum moving into 2026, which is, those are planting those seeds for that energy. This is, again, not an overnight process, but it does look like when we look at the rest of the energy, it does have a lot of potential positive momentum moving forward. These are negotiations as well. So I'm going to ask the cards here in terms of, is this headed into the right direction? Because the Emperor in the outcome, yes, that could represent a trump card, but the Emperor is also a very strong and stable foundation, and this could absolutely represent an authority, and let's say the movement of a solid leaderships and foundational building with independence here. So what can you share, Spirit, about this situation with Alberta separating from Canada? Is this leading into a positive direction? Look at that. 2 of Wands, planting those seeds. Can I get another confirmation? Those is the expansion. What else can you share with the Spirit? Is Alberta headed into a positive direction when it comes to Canada, the other provinces? What's the momentum of this, Spirit? Look at that, you guys. 10 of Cups. This actually is a really, really good energy moving forward. So let's pull the next question. Now, before we actually dive into another question though, you guys, this Two of Wands just kept screaming at me here. So I'm going to take a moment to do some gazing in the labradorite ball, because it's interesting. We have the 10 of Cups here. We have the Two of Wands. This is my portal card. This is also a representation of two different timelines, two different pathways. And we have this beautiful 10 of Cups energy showing, yes, I feel like there is still a really good direction. And having Alberta be the first, let's say, province to look at separating in terms of gaining an independence, a sovereignty, is a beautiful energy. But I have my other deck here, and on the back of that deck is still that 9 of Swords there. Earlier, I think I said 9 of Cups by accident, so my apologies, but 9 of Swords. And this is interesting because what I'm getting to is, first of all, we've got this sense of change is happening, and that is scary for a lot of people. So with Danielle Smith and a lot of Albertans that support the separation, there are a lot of First Nations and I believe treaties that are really against it. But again, there is this division, separation between people, even in the same province, and it's a fear of change, right? We have a big fear of change, and things are really unknown of what's next, what's happening. And so this is pretty interesting. So the first thing that I can see here is a line. We got the line, we've got the division, but on one side of the line, I am seeing almost like a drone-like structure. And what that's really telling me, and linking for me, it's linking it to this controlled narrative. And we can look at it as like a false sense of, or a false unity as a sense of a controlled script here. And again, you guys, we do not have to go down that path. This is not something that is set in stone. Right here, Two of Wands. This was screaming at me very loudly earlier. So there's a sense, you guys, as a collective, we have a choice of how we're going to direct our timeline. And I have to say, I do see a timeline here that shows, let's say, a synthetic structure that is, maybe on the outside portraying or masquerading as like, look at all the safety and look at this as a unity, and it's not. It's a controlled, centralized system. You know what, you guys, let's talk for a minute. Maybe this is going to be a whole video on its own, but let's talk about recognizing the synthetic systems, because this is really, really important. And most of you guys are probably already aware of this, but these systems masquerade as progress, okay? Let's go through an example. Let's take our beautiful bodies as an example. This body, you guys, our bodies are a temple, right? They are not a machine to be fixed and poked and prodded with, okay? And our true health comes from alignment. It comes from nature. It comes from nourishment from healthy air, healthy foods, right? Getting the proper rest as well. But then you have these other systems like the synthetic AI deep state systems that hijack that, but they kind of label it in terms of like, hey, we're presenting this to you as a positive thing or as progress or for your safety, but it's not. So look at this body as a vessel, and you look at the hijacking that's involved in it. And we can relate that to, let's say, I guess I have to be careful with my words, but certain injections I mean, we also have the biometric tracking, we have health monitoring, all of these digital IDs and compliance. They're really signaling like, oh, you must be verified to be, let's say, trusted. And if you don't comply, you're not a good citizen. And overall, my friends, this creates separation from our own intuition here, our own divine essence. So my friends, I really encourage you guys to just use your discernment and try to look deeper into these agendas. I mean, for example, like your health, you guys, if your health requires obedience to some authority, that is not true healing. It is harnessing, it is management, it is control and a removal of our free choice. Or I should say freedom of choice. But when we kind of like circle back more into the Alberta separation and the North American Union here, and you guys, from what I've seen with Alberta, we have them entering into a sovereign energy here. And yes, there's going to be some hiccups and bumps in the road, and this is not going to happen overnight. But when I've looked into the Premier Danielle Smith, she really is one of the few that does not align with the federal government, you guys. Look, she has criticized federal overreach when it comes to health mandates. She has voiced clear resistance when it has come to the biometrics, tracking, digital IDs. And from what I can see, she really does have a desire for the people to have a medical choice and privacy. So I see Alberta being pulled away from these centralized influences. And I see them, this is like a threshold. There's that Two of Wands. It's like sitting in the middle. It's that portal, that doorway. Two different paths. But I see a lot of also other provinces that will follow. So with that being said, before we end this, I'm going to pull a few cards on the question when it comes to a North American Union. Can you share, Spirit, is this the direction where we are headed? Will the North American Union be in the future? Can we see this as something as happening in our future? Interesting. I mean, don't quote me on times, you guys, but this could even represent over the next 3 years. We can see some pretty big changes. Now, for those of you that follow Brad and watched his channel with Wisdom Transmissions there, I believe one of his comments is he said, Canada is dead. And it's interesting because look at what we have. We have the death card in Canada. But look at what is going to move, what the momentum is moving forward. I do like the outcome. So this is a big transformation for Canada, you guys, and it feels like this is a transformation under pressure. So when we look at this, there is an inevitable shift. It is going to happen from what I can see. But it's a shift. I do see a shift into sovereignty. We have the sun. Oh, sorry, you guys can't really see that. We have the sun also on the back of the deck, okay? So again, when I said earlier, with a lot of things that are happening, people are scared of change. The more you resist, the more some people are going to have a big issue with some of these transformations, okay? Because there's a big change happening. This isn't just a little change, this is a big change. But I do see a lot of, we have that King of Wands energy, which is a symbolism of, again, leadership, connections. This is a passionate energy, strategic. This is the rollout, right? And then when we look at the outcome, we do have the Three of Wands, which is planning for the future. But it's interesting because right now in the present, look at this, we have the Five of Swords. And in the past, we have the Judgment. So the past is like that, the last call. So there was that final called for the collective to wake up here. And I do see this as tying together with what happened back in 2020 with CV19, you know, there was still a lot of people, like this was a wake-up call for people to take their sovereignty back. And unfortunately, a lot of people just again closed their eyes and they decided to trust the governments, trust these institutions, because it was a safety net. Now, many people didn't. Many people woke up during that time. But I'm just saying, look at this energy here. And when I see the Five of Swords right now, you guys, this is where we're at. And it's a division. It is a division and a separating. This is winning at all costs. And I mean, it's really showing how rigged the system is, but these systems will come out to show their true colors for exposure. So guess what? Then the people can stop, they can pause, and then choose the appropriate direction here. So I see this North American Union happening. It's again not going to happen overnight, and a lot of people may resist it or have fears when it comes to it, but I see it happening. Let me just pull a final card and see if I can get another confirmation. Can you confirm, Spirit? Am I seeing this correctly? Is this North American Union? Yeah, look at, there's that Seven of Pentacles. Is this something that is happening in maybe potentially over the next 3 years? Look at that. Yes, I do have the Page of Swords, which is sometimes my delayed card. So again, this is not an overnight process, you guys. This is something that will take a while, maybe even more than 3 years. But I do have a victory in terms of, yes, I see this happening. So that's my report for you guys. Let me know what you guys think, your perspective. I mean, maybe we'll have to revisit and dive into some more stuff with this, but I wanted to do just a bit of an overview to see what the momentum is moving forward. And for the most part, it looks really positive here, but we're still going to have to get through quite a few bumps and hiccups along the way. So much love to you guys, and until next time, bye for now.